What is paralysis? The communication between our brain and the respective muscles are done through different nerves. So when you are thinking about walking, it's your brain who directs your leg muscles to make movements for you to walk. Sometimes, because of any unfortunate events such as external accidents or weakening of nerves, if the brain can't communicate with the muscles, the movement in them halts and the victim is said to be in a paralyzed condition. Reversing paralysis. Scientists are making remarkable progress at using brain implants to restore the freedom of movement that spinal cord injuries take away. Scientists are wirelessly connecting brain reading technology directly to electrical stimulators on the body, creating a neural bypass so that people's thoughts can again move their limbs for paralyzed people. The science is still in beginning stages, but there is a great desire for these solutions. Early experiments, implementing brain transplant on rats. Coubertin has been working continuously on reversing paralysis. He has done numerous researches on rats which include inserting electrical implants near the injured site of the spinal cord to avoid the paralysis. During the research, Coubertin placed electrodes just below the injured part of the spinal cord of a paralyzed rat. Once powered up, those electrodes could simulate the affected nerve fibers of the injured region of the spine. After encouraging the rat to walk with the help of a harness for few months, finally the rat could walk freely. Now the question comes, what was the reason behind the recovery? Well, the body of the rat got adapted to the injury through exercises, and then some of the unaffected nerves around the injured area restarted sending signals between brain and legs. Results of experiments on humans. The implementation was done on a man who was partially paralyzed because of an injury to his spinal cord 5 years before the implant. Before the implant, he was able to walk with support, but the stimulating implant drastically improved his movement control. When we turn on the stimulation, the movement is much more coordinated, Coubertin says. The brain-spinal interface, BSI. Look at the picture. The flexible e-dura, which covers the spinal cord and brain, developed by EPFL Professor Stephanie Lacour, is meant to interface safely with delicate neural tissue. The brain-spinal interface. The whole procedure can be done through wireless implants. In a breakthrough study on paralyzed monkey published last November, 2016, Coubertin and his collaborators showed that inserting both a brain implant and a spinal implant provided much more natural walking movement in paralyzed monkey. Notes: motor cortex is the area in our brain where planning and execution of all voluntary movements in our body is done. Brain implant and spinal implant. The first implant was a brain-reading chip with microelectrode array that was placed at the leg area of the motor cortex of the monkey's brain. This chip has around 100 electrodes in it. The brain-reading chip has been developed in such a way that it can read the motor cortex signals at a rapid speed to avoid delay in the process. The second implant is a pulse generator simulator and has wireless triggering capabilities. The pulse generator is implanted at affected region. It has the capability to deliver correct stimulation to the required location at a perfect timing in order. When the brain reading chip is placed at the leg area of the motor cortex of the monkey's brain just to read the signals from the motor cortex. Once the motor cortex starts sending signals, the chip will capture the signals from all the neurons by recording the spiking activities of the motor cortex and then will send them to an external computer. To this external computer is a signal decoder which decodes the signals from the motor cortex in a real-time scenario. 3. Once the motor cortex signals are decoded at the external computer, they are then transmitted to the pulse generator through a wireless network. 4. Once the signals are received by the pulse generator, it creates simulation at the correct location for producing the required functionality by the required body part. How the device works. Look at the picture. The brain-spine interface bridges the spinal cord injury, in real time and wirelessly. The system decodes activity from the brain's motor cortex and then relays this information to a system of electrodes located over the surface of the lumbar spinal cord, below the injury. Electrical stimulation of a few volts, delivered at precise locations in the spinal cord, modulates distinct networks of neurons that can activate specific muscles in the legs. Applications. Cure for all possible types of paralysis, not sure at all, just hypothetical. Monoplegia. Monoplegia is paralysis of a single area of the body, most typically one limb. Hemiplegia. Hemiplegia affects an arm and a leg on the same side of the body. Paraplegia. Paraplegia refers to paralysis below the waist, and usually affects both legs, the hips, and other functions, such as sexuality and elimination. Quadriplegia. Quadriplegia, which is often referred to as tetraplegia, is paralysis below the neck. All four limbs, as well as the torso, are typically affected. Certainty of reversing paralysis. Promising technology, but roads are yet difficult. To work properly on human brain is too much complex. Courtine and team are continuously working on the interface to make it more developed and optimal. Might takes more than 12 to 15 years or even more. Much more expensive.